Hello everyone, my name is Zenitsu, and I'm back with another episode of Road to Revival. We definitely got a lot of interesting cards this week, and yeah, let's just get into talking about them. We started to see these dual spell cards, and it came as a bit of a surprise, but it looks like they are supposed to go into the decks kind of showing off the characters. The first one that we got was Hope to Live, and it is a Legend World and Dungeon World spell. So what it does is you can only cast it during each player's attack phase or final phase, and then its cast cost is pay a gauge and pay in life. And then its ability is counter. You basically call up to 2 size 2 or less Call or dungeon enemy monsters with different names from your drop zone into different areas by paying their call cost, and then you can only cast it once per turn. So obviously for Calls, you have a whole bunch of different size 2 or less that you could call. So you could really kind of like toolbox your aggression. Or for Dungeon World, it kind of seems like this is supposed to be for Bladewing and whatever support card is supposed to go with Bladewing. So those are just some two very interesting things. I think this card is going to be more powerful in Calls because of the whole you could cast it during the final phase part, because you could cast impact monsters off of this. So you could cast the impact Sylph and basically get a restand on your whole board if impact Sylph is in your drop zone. So there's just a lot of different things you could do, and I think this is going to be a really strong card. The next card we got is the Immortal Sword Durandal Rebuddy. So he's a hero weapon, which means he's basically more Levitain support, but he also is generic hero support if you want to play like the hero monsters, because of what his ability is. So yes, this card can be your buddy still. Its equip cost is pay 1 gauge, and then all heroes on your field can't be destroyed, can't be bounced, and their abilities can't be nullified. So your stereotypical like blanket protection at this point. And then he has a counteract ability, Persistent Hero. During your turn, you may drop a hand card. If you do, stand all hero cards on your field, and you can only activate this once per turn. Then it's got Equipment Change, Penetrate, and Double Attack. Yeah, this card's kind of really good just because it also has a built-in restand effect. And in Levitain, this is especially really good because, well, you restand all of your items, and you could have a lot of items out. Yeah, this card's just going to be really nuts in Levitain, and it's looking to be pretty okay in just a generic hero deck. Next, we have Death Tallica Rebuddy. Death Tallica Rebuddy is pretty interesting. So its call cost is pay 4 gauge and then put any number of deeps from your drop zone into its soul. This card can't get Soul Guard, but with its ability, it basically doesn't need Soul Guard. And its souls can't be dropped by your opponent's card effects. And then when this card is attacked or when it would leave the field, you basically get to put 3 cards from its soul to the bottom of your deck to nullify the attack or prevent it from leaving the field. So he's basically just going to be a giant, supposedly unkillable wall. But what makes it really powerful is the last effect. When this card attacks, put up to 3 cards from the top of your deck into its soul, and if you put 1 or more, you gain 1 life and deal 1 damage to your opponent, and then it's got quadruple attack. So the fact that you could basically use this effect 4 times to basically make it so it's very, very hard to deal with makes it very, very powerful. On top of which, it is a black dragon, it is a deep, so you can use both of those attributes to his advantage. So this card's just looking to be like a very hard to kill wall card. And then next we have Gemclone Origin Breaker Rebuddy. So its call cost is put up to 3 impact monsters from your hand or drop zone into its soul and pay 2 gauge. And then it has a counteract ability. If a card with Gemclone or Zeta in its name is on your field, you may call this card from your hand by paying its call cost. So you could counter call it, which is okay. And then its last ability, which is probably its most powerful, is that the abilities of this card can't be nullified and its soul can't be dropped by your opponent's card effects, and it gets all the written abilities of the impact monsters in its soul without Gemclone in its name. So this card's just really powerful because there's a lot of impact monsters in the game that could do a lot of different things, and that could lead to a lot of potential. The first and obvious notable scary thing is you could use this in combination with the new Super Warriors deck to basically just make like a ridiculous monster. And because the Super Warriors deck has a new Gemclone, he just slots in relatively easily. The only unfortunate thing is his attribute is still null, so you can't use a lot of your Super Warrior specific cards on it because he only copies the abilities, but he's still like a very, very powerful card. And lastly, we got another dual world spell card, this time between Legend World and Star Dragon World. Seems like Legend World's getting a lot of love, and it's Legendary Kickoff. For the low cost of paying 1 life, you could counter, choose one of the following 2. You can only cast it once per turn. You could either choose a card on your field, and when this card attacks and destroys a monster on your opponent's field, you could stand that card. A relatively basic effect, but the second effect is more often or not what you're probably going to end up using, which is you can equip an item from your hand or drop zone by paying its equip cost. So this kind of just seems a little awkward. Like, obviously it's meant to be played in Athora, and it's meant to be played in the hero weapons build, just because that's the 2 characters it's showing off on the card. But you could play it in more than just those, and I think it's pretty interesting. Like, this card could probably also be played in Weistersakals, just because Weistersakals, if Sylph can't get your item, or your item is in your drop and you don't have Sylph in your hand, then you could use Legendary Kickoff to play it. Like, it's just a pretty interesting card. I'm not really a huge fan of this first ability. This first ability literally, to me, just reads and screams, you should play Athora with Eternity Ring, and then just destroy the opponent's monsters and then burn them to death. Like, that's really what that first ability means to me. But the second ability is most likely the one that you're going to be using more often than not, and a whole bunch of Legend World decks can play it. Even some Star Dragon World decks can play it. So it's just looking to be a really good card for the second ability. That's kind of all we got this week. It was pretty light on the spoilers. We didn't get like a massive dump of a couple of extras, but what we did get was pretty interesting and pretty powerful. I was definitely not expecting to see these dual spell cards where they could be used in both worlds, so that was definitely a pleasant surprise. And yeah, the cards all, no shocker, look really strong. That's kind of it for this week. Feel free to leave a comment down below about your thoughts about this week's cards, and as always, don't forget to like and subscribe for more Buddy Fight content, and I will see you in the next video.